Hello, I'm Bruce Harders, and this is Voices in the Village, a talk show to inform, but also to entertain. Today we have with us John Perak, a resident of 7 years of the village, and behind him 40 years in television and 8 films, and a wide-ranging career in the radio, television, and movies, and everything else. John, thanks for coming by, and welcome to Voices in the Village.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you for having me here.
You bet.
It's a pleasure.
Well, John, you've got a vast career in entertainment. When did you first get that acting bug?
Well, probably when I was 7 years old. I, growing up on the south side of Chicago, like in a very ethnic neighborhood, I learned how to play the accordion, which I detested and got stage fright.
Was that your mother's idea?
It was my father's. And so, but the one good thing it did for me is it got me to be on stage and loving to be on stage. I just felt like my fingers weren't as talented as my mouth. And so I was able to do more things with my mouth than I was with my fingers. And so that really began my quest for show business. So I went on and on and on. And after I got out of school, I missed acting and got a drama coach in Chicago who had been with MGM during the 40s and 30s when the contract players were prolific. And he coached many, many stars when they were still contract players. And he coached me. And so that eventually got me to Hollywood.
Did he have a contact for you to meet out there when you went out there?
But by that time, when I was studying with him, was the late 50s and early 60s, so most of his contacts were gone. He got me to 20th Century Fox to see someone there, and I had another contact, William Inge. I had finished a play. I've done a buku number of plays also. And I was in repertory in Chicago, and the last play I did there was called Lost Roses, written by William Inge. And William Inge sold The Loss of Roses to 20th Century Fox. And so I got to see William Inge out here and got an intro to 20th Century Fox.
Fantastic. So you weaseled your way into television first.
Yeah.
What are some of the sitcoms or whatever that you got involved in right away?
Well, right away I got involved in Westerns. I did The Virginian, I did a number of episodes of Bonanza, I did Maverick, I did the Andy Griffith Show, not when he was Opie and all that kind of stuff, but he was a mountain sheriff. I can't remember the name of the show, but it was kind of like a TV movie, but it was episodic. And so I began in Westerns because I always wanted to be a cowboy, so I got out here to play cowboy. Well,
who were some of your favorite people that you worked with in those 40-odd television shows?
Well, probably my all-time favorite that I worked with was Dan Blocker in Bonanza. Dan and I became friends. We didn't associate too much out of the studio. I mean, we didn't socialize too much together, but we were really good friends at the studio and having lunch together and so on and so forth. So Dan Blocker is one of my favorite, and James Gardner is another one of my all-time favorites. Leslie Nielsen, but there's a number of them.
Was Leslie Nielsen as funny to be around as he was on screen?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes he could be really funny.
Now you moved from television. You've also done some film. What films have you done?
Yeah, I did True Grit, and I did A Woman Called Moses with Cicely Tyson. I did a movie which I can't even remember. They changed the title 3 or 4 times that Telly Savalas wrote and Howard Koch. Telly Savalas wrote it and directed, but Howard Koch, who was the producer, ended up finishing the directing. And as I said, the Abel, which was the name of the Andy Griffith movie, and a number of others.
Right. Now, those two areas, you spent, what, over 20 years between television and movies?
Yeah, my professional career on stage, on radio, television, in movies was encompassed 25 years.
And then what included the second act?
The second act of my career is I left the acting side of it and went into the production side. and in production, I was working every day on various shows. And for instance, I did all 9 years of Seinfeld. I did 6 years of Will and Grace. I did Saint Elsewhere. I did Hearts of Fire. I did a bunch, and I've done over 1,000, probably over 1,000 episodes.
Oh my goodness!
Television shows on the production side.
Right. So now here you are in beautiful Laguna Woods, and you're very active in the Old Pro theatrical group.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit. What have you, over the last 7 years, you've been in a lot of productions.
I have. And it's been a real treat because I got to go back on, when I was in Hollywood, I did Hollywood things. And which was not primarily stage, it was film and TV. And back here now I could, go back on stage. I've done Death of a Salesman and Gin Game and so on and so forth. So, and I just finished Macbeth.
Well, now, you're also a teacher of acting.
Yes, I'm teaching for Jeannie Sander and Village Academy, and I'm teaching character development. And this semester, I've taught it for 2 semesters now, and I'm going to teach it again for this semester. And I'm introducing a new course called Using the Tools, Developing the Character.
Well, if there was one piece of advice you could give somebody learning how to act or trying to learn how to act, what might that advice be?
Make it your #1 priority, because if you do it as a hobby, it's going to remain as a hobby. And everything else will take priority over it. You will get a job, and that job you say, I can't act because I got to earn a living. So if you make it a priority where your job is secondary to acting, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
But that's why most actors are bartenders and waiters.
As you look at the new year, a lot of us put together all kinds of ideas for the new year. What are some of your goals here in the woods for the new year?
Well, as we were talking before the show went on, I want to take a little time doing some of the stuff that I want to finish, my own personal adventures. I have a novel that's been in a drawer for 10 years, and all I need to do is finish 100 pages. I already have written 300 pages, so I want to. That's a goal this year, is to finish that. I want to do radio shows again with Barbara Rush this summer, and I want to hopefully, maybe be available to do another Shakespearean play.
Have they come up with the shows that you're going to do on the radio, so to speak, yet?
No, that's up to me to come up with.
That's your role, huh?
And I haven't done that yet.
I see.
But that won't be until July, but hopefully I'll have titles before that. Well, if it sounds like between the amount of work you're going to be doing on the stage and the amount of work you're going to be doing on your book, you ought to be a pretty busy boy. Yeah, it's that old trite saying that I don't know how I have time to work because moving here I've been extremely busy, and I need more time for myself.
I understand. Yeah. Well, John, thanks you so much for coming by, and it's really been a pleasure talking to you. And to you folks out there, this is Bruce Harders again with Voices in the Village saying, come back next time. Bye now.